Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now, Bob Arum has said that he's becoming pessimistic about Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, and he even said that Tyson Fury could still fight Deontay Wilder again. And he kind of claimed that Eddie Hearn told him a week ago that they had signed a deal within 24 hours, but since it has gone to radio silence. Now, of course Eddie Hearn has other shows that he is working on, but still, there seems to have been some news coming out a week or so ago, but it has gotten quite silent quite recently, so there are going to be questions about whether this fight will actually take place. Of course, there are going to be people who are pessimistic still because there's nothing 100% guaranteed, and we've seen before how close it's come to undisputed and still not happened. So it's definitely possible that Tyson Fury fights Deontay Wilder and AJ fights Alexander Usyk, but you would hope that given the hoops they've jumped through, that they wouldn't want to throw that all away, given they've come so close. If they have come this far and it still cannot be agreed, then I don't see the fight ever happening, because how can it, if they've come this far with all of the situations they had to deal with, mandatories, contracts, other fights that could take place, money, where the fight will take place, those things have been sorted, so you would hope that things are moving forwards, and if it cannot be done now, then it won't be done at all. Now, Eddie Hearn said that he spoke to Tyson Fury personally, and Fury explained to him that he was putting all of his hopes on fighting Anthony Joshua. He was all in, and that was very positive. He even said that it was good to talk to Tyson Fury face to face to ensure that he actually wanted to fight, because there have been things he said in the media, his father also, about the fight likely not taking place, and that kind of discouraged him as to whether Tyson Fury wanted the fight. But upon meeting him and talking to him, having a cup of tea, he realised how badly Tyson Fury wanted to take this fight. But we cannot deny how long this has gone on and how long we've been waiting for an official announcement. There have been so many updates, so many times where we've gone, okay, maybe it is on the verge. And I mean, it was only yesterday that Eddie Hearn explained, the deal is on the doorstep, they are right there, ready to get everything sorted. They are on their fourth draft or something of the contract. So it has kind of gone back to Eddie Hearn saying one thing and Bob Arum and Frank Warren maybe saying another, even though at one point it seemed like maybe they were on the same page, and that didn't last long, of course. Is there any chance of Wilder versus Fury? I would say no. I don't see how that can happen. I'm not sure Wilder would even want to take that fight, given the inactivity and coming off of a loss. So I'm not sure that fight will happen. I'm not buying into the fact that Tyson Fury could face him next. Even if he doesn't face AJ, I'm not convinced it will be Deontay Wilder, because I just think that Wilder will want to come back before facing Tyson Fury. And perhaps even Tyson Fury would like to take an interim fight before going back in with Deontay Wilder. We don't know about that situation just yet. We do know though that there was this arbitration going on that should have been concluded very soon, within the coming weeks. So that shouldn't affect AJ versus Fury anyway, but they seem to keep saying Deontay Wilder's name as some kind of contingency plan if the AJ fight does not work. So that is the name they will be looking for if Undisputed does not happen. Now, Eddie Hearn has said there is no plan B for Anthony Joshua. They are not looking at anyone else other than Tyson Fury. But the thing is, when they say that, is they're in a situation anyway where they know who they'll be fighting if the Fury fight falls through. So if they cannot fight Fury, they know they have to deal with their mandatory, Alexander Usyk. So even though it looks like Tyson Fury might have a contingency plan, have a plan B, AJ does in some ways, because he will fight Alexander Usyk, because Usyk is his mandatory. So AJ already knows who he'll be fighting if it's not Tyson Fury. It will either be Fury next or Usyk next, one of those two. For Tyson Fury, he will have to find an opponent if the AJ fight falls through. Now, Bob Arum said the reason why he is pessimistic, and you cannot blame him for being so, is because he was told that the deal would be wrapped up with the Saudis in 24 hours. And that was a week ago. There has been radio silence ever since then. So he is pessimistic because he does not believe Eddie Hearn is getting the deal done, and therefore, as promoter to his fighter, he is looking at contingency plans if things don't work out. But then again, we've been here so many times. We hear good news, then bad news, then good news, then bad news again, and we don't really know what page we are on. I guess we will only really know when an official announcement is made, whether they are having the fight or whether they are not. And also Eddie Hearn has a show coming up this weekend, Joe Parker versus Derek Chisora. He also has a show coming up the weekend after, which is Billy Joe Saunders taking on Canelo. So of course he's going to be busy with that as well. And those are some great fights, you have Derek Chisora taking on Joseph Parker, and even on the undercard, Katie Taylor and Tasha Jonas. There is also Chris Eubank on that undercard and Bivol. So some great fights coming up on that card, and Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders is going to be an incredible fight. So there are some great fights and 2 great fight nights coming up that Eddie Hearn is putting on. So I would imagine that his attention is based on that, but also Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, the biggest fight in world boxing, is going to be on his mind, and getting that over the line is going to be great for him if he is able to do so. Let's remember, Eddie Hearn wants to be the one to do that, to secure this big undisputed fight, and no stone will be left unturned in negotiations and the process to making this fight happen. I'm not sure if there is a problem behind the scenes with those investors in Saudi. I mean, they were given 3 dates to choose from, which was the 24th of July, the 31st of July, and August 7th. So they had those dates to choose from, and perhaps that is what is holding up this deal currently being pushed over the line. And also, they have to sort out where exactly in Saudi the fight will take place. Apparently Jeddah is the place, and they are going to find some kind of indoor arena. Just because of the temperatures, it's going to be extremely hot over there in the summer, so I would imagine they would have to take it indoors. Bob Arum did explain that they were looking for somewhere indoors to stage this event, because it's not really plausible to do it outside in that kind of heat and humidity also. So that seems to be something they will work towards as well, and I would imagine that there is a lot more involved than just handing over 150 million for a site deal, which is apparently what they have agreed on. They have to make sure other things are put in place as well and are secured. Going back to the fight nights coming up with Chisora Parker on the undercard, Tasha Jonas versus Katie Taylor, that one I'm really excited for. I think that is going to be a very entertaining fight. Watch out for that one, make sure you don't miss it, because I believe that this is a good contest for both, because they have faced one another multiple times in the amateurs, and it's always been close, it's always been competitive. So I think that will make for a great fight. And it is on the undercard of Joe Parker versus Derek Chisora, so that will make for a good undercard as well. We have Chris Eubank Jr. coming up, and I know that he's not in a big fight, but I mean, he does always bring value for money. I know that he needs to start stepping up and going towards world level if that's what he wants, if he wants to become a world champion, but he's taking it one step at a time, and he has had a lot of inactivity. So I guess you can kind of justify why he is fighting someone like Marcus Morrison, who is game, who says that he has the power to stop him. So if he believes that, are we going to see a war, a tear-up between those two? That could be an entertaining fight. And I just think that this is going to be a good night of boxing. To start with, I was a little bit skeptical whether it could be a pay-per-view, but it is a good night of boxing. And I mean, you have a strong undercard event with Tasha Jonas versus Katie Taylor. I think that really does push it over and make it a pay-per-view event. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also leave a like and grab that subscribe button. Thanks, guys.